Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing how much money one needs to retire in Thailand. Recent article from Thai Visa, that's thaivisa.com. Article is titled, Study Reveals How Much Money You Need to Retire in Thailand. Quoting directly, anyone thinking about retiring to Thailand should have the equivalent of around 11 million baht in savings, approximately USD $390,000. That's according to a new study on the cost of retirement around the world. And apparently this is from online lender Net Credit. The study was titled, The Cost of a Comfortable Retirement Around the World. Quoting further from the Thai Visa article, the study found that a person retiring to Thailand would need $389,835 in savings in order to maintain the same standard of living they were used to in the West. And I urge folks who are interested in this, that article is titled, Study Reveals How Much Money You Need to Retire in Thailand, and that's at thaivisa.com. There's a lot more information in there. I wanted to go ahead and cite this article because I definitely think that's a pretty erroneous statement. I think it depends, again, to quote, same standard of living they were used to in the West. Well, what does that mean? The fact is, moving to Thailand, you're not going to have the same standard of living. And that can be very good in certain ways. I know folks that find it a little difficult. One thing I do see is a lot of expats, they never really quite factor in that they really do have a taste for Western food. And Western food can be a real issue with respect to cost of living over here. Now, depending on where you live, it might not be any issue at all. For example, Pattaya, there's a lot of, or as someone pointed out, Pattaya, they say I pronounce it wrong. Sorry, it's just my English. That's how I say Pattaya. I say Pattaya, not Pattaya. But long story short, and I'm sure I'll get burned in the comments for that. Long story short, if you go down to Pattaya, the food down there, there's plenty of Western food. Bangkok has plenty of Western food that's not overly expensive. Now, there's a great spectrum of food choices, and one thing I do hear a lot of retirees tell me is one thing they really didn't quite see coming, kind of threw them for a little bit of a loop, was, yeah, I do like, having a steak every once in a while, a little more often than I figured I would like, and, I do spend a little bit more on Western food than I ever thought I would. But other than that, I really don't think $390,000 is required, just saved up in order to retire in Thailand. Again, it's going to be circumstantially, factually dependent, on one's overall financial situation. So if if somebody has a good pension coming in, maybe savings is less of a concern. If someone has no pension coming in, which is pretty rare, but it can happen, savings are going to be a real issue. So again, it depends on the circumstances, but bear in mind that standard of living of the West, well, it's not the same here. Like, just for example, not having a car, that can have a tremendous impact downward, sort of a deflationary impact on one's budgeting, because it's just not a requirement. It's just one example. And not to get into this too much, but again, it should be noted for retirement visa purposes, one needs to be able to show a balance on a yearly basis of 800,000 baht, basically for half the year. As a rule of thumb, just call it 6 total months out of the given year, and then 400,000, year round. So it can never go lower than 400,000, but for 6 months, presume it needs to stay at 800,000 just to be on the safe side. So that's definitely short of 11 million. And, then on top of that, yeah, there's going to be ongoing expenses, rent, etc. But it's going to be dependent on your circumstances. Again, having a pension will sort of offset some of the savings issues, but it's going to depend on how one wishes to live, and again, that standard of living that they're used to or want to maintain here in Thailand.